good morning, good evening, or good night, however you want to look at it, Tulane Green Wave fans. I'm Patrick Harkness, and this is the Roll Dat Wave Pod. So let's get rolling. All right, welcome back to another song of Roll Dat Wave Pod. I am joined by Doug Joubert and Colin Cumming. They are both at Sports Illustrated. We got a fun podcast in store for you today. Tulane has named the starter, and I'll let you guys go ahead and take it away. Who is now the starter of Tulane Green Wave?
Yeah, 9:30 a.m. this morning. It's a lot earlier than we all thought. The roster wasn't supposed to come out until around lunchtime today, but Pete Tamel comes on Twitter and he announces that Tulane chose fifth-year senior and Houston transfer Zeon Chriss as their starting quarterback for the 2026 season.
And I was wrong. So I picked Caden Samanza on Sunday instead of Chris Gremillon. And as is typical, my wife has told me I'll be wrong a lot of times in my life. So, hey, I'll just keep rolling with that the rest of my life. But I do see why that Chris Gremillon would be picked. He is out of the two, the better of the two athletes, hands down. He can run. He can throw. I don't think he's as accurate as Samanza from what I've seen. Colin, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I really don't think he's as accurate as Samanza has been. But I also think that Samanza is the kind of guy that's going to make that. I've seen him in every practice make a mistake. That was something that I wish he wouldn't have done, kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, definitely. I also picked Caden to my personal choice for the starting quarterback this year. Like you said, he looked more accurate. I do like Zeon's deep ball a bit better. I think that's kind of where Samanza sort of lacked in his game was his deep pass accuracy. But one thing I do like about Zeon is that he has at least built somewhat of a connection with his receivers throughout the campus, especially Fat Hill from LSU. His connection with both quarterbacks has been great. He's very clearly the best receiver on the field. But it's like Doug says, man, it does worry me a bit that this offense does sort of become very run heavy. And I think that's definitely the way they're going to go. It would be kind of silly to not go that way just because Zeon's athleticism is just such a pure weapon that you can use by itself, not even taking into consideration his receivers, his crazy running back room, and his tight ends. But his legs are a weapon in and of itself. So I think that's kind of what they're going for. Maybe they just, like Doug says, maybe they didn't want a mistake every game. They'd rather just stick with the run. Let's keep it on the ground. Let's play good defense. Let's keep it close, but let's control the game.
Yeah, I think. I kind of go back with all you guys. I picked Caden as well to be the starting quarterback, and then I was thinking Chris would come in and sprinkle him in on running downs or like key package areas where RPOs or just quarterback draws or just QB sneaks it. But this tells me it's going to be almost strictly an option offense. And the perfect example I could think of right here is the 2014 Ohio State Buckeyes when Urban Meyer was there and they had JT Barrett at quarterback. They were a very option offense, and the reason why they were successful with it, they went 11-1 in the regular season. And then later on, JT Barrett broke his ankle against Michigan, and then Cardell 12 gauge comes in, Cardell Jones leads them to the national championship to win it off of his passing. But going back to that, JT Barrett and that option offense got Ohio State to where they were. Now, I'm not saying Chris in Tulane is that 2014 Ohio State team, but my point here is you can be successful being just strictly heavy run option offense. There's multiple variations that comes to this, though. Yeah, keep going.
I'm sorry. That's the other thing to think about. I don't know if it's going to be an exclusive option, not like what you'll see out of Army and that kind of thing. I think it just sort of harkens back to 2019. That's when Tulane had Justin McMillan at quarterback. And this guy was just a stud. And he throws for like 2,900 yards, but he runs for almost 2,900, but he runs for another 600, almost 700 yards. And I think that's what Hall is playing on here, is that he's hoping that he has that kind of run athlete like Justin McMillan was, and that he's always a threat. So they just can't storm after him, expect him to throw the ball.
Yeah. I'm thinking anywhere from 2,500 passing yards and then about close to maybe 1,000 rushing yards for Zeon this year.
I think so too.
Yeah, I think,
and he plays all the way.
Yeah. If he plays all the way, no one gets hurt. He doesn't get hurt. But that's basically around the same stats of what JT Barrett pretty much had the whole entire career at Ohio State. He averaged around 2,500 to 3,000 passing yards and right around 1,000 rushing yards. But the variations that comes out of this and how this is going to be successful is Zeon's just going to have to play smart football. Yeah. Especially when it comes to the option run. He has to know when to tuck it. He has to know when to hand it off. Or he has to know, okay, when or where am I going to have this receiver open and how can I get it to him successfully? He has to be very, very smart in order for this offense to be successful. And also the offensive line has to play very well in order for him to kind of like let him do his thing. It's just going to basically be, okay, we're going to run the ball. All right, so now when we are going to throw the ball, Zeon, if no one's open, just tuck it and go. Because your athletic ability can be a home run threat almost every time.
Yeah, definitely.
Which is what we saw out of Justin McMillan. I'm sorry, quick, Colin.
No, go ahead. We've seen that offensive line improve throughout the camp. I can definitely say that, and that's honestly pretty impressive for the sort of like the rotations that they were hitting. Whether it was guys getting tweaked and maybe missing a practice, a lot of different guys, even at the scrimmage, because I don't remember seeing John Bach there. I didn't see a 51 on the field, but Gavin Marks, the Mercer transfer, was taking most of the first team center snaps. That's not to say that he's going to do it week one. But for how this offense is really, this line has transitioned and it's been rotated and people have moved from guard to tackle, I've honestly been really impressed with the way that they've continued to step up and they've gotten beat less and less. I'm not going to say that they were dominating the defensive line, but the frequency of them getting beat was definitely declining. And I can definitely see that going on, those first few weeks, building some confidence.
And I can see that, what Colin is saying, not just in the pass protection, but we're starting to see creases being opened against an extremely good Tulane defense. We were seeing creases being open in the offensive front for people like Mo Turner to run through, or for Johnny Daniels to run through. Things we like did 10, not see.
15-yard runs,
Yeah, things we did not see in the spring and we did not see in the beginning of the fall. So we are seeing progression. Now, as you look through the depth chart, you'll notice when you get to center that it has John Bach, number 51, or Gavin Marks. And we don't know what's going on with John. He may have a little bit of an injury. We don't know, but maybe we do know that what you're saying is that Marks is the guy right with Colin O'Carroll right behind him, a really young kid. So I really think they're going to be okay at that offensive front. We've already seen Gavin Marks make a difference in how he does things. So I think the offensive front's fine. What I'm a little worried about is that tight end room. I did see some walking wounded, so to speak, and you don't want to give anything away, obviously, to the bad guys. But you do notice that there are some people who are just recovering from their injuries. And in the depth chart, it has all oars. OR, not ORE. But all oars in between every one of the tight ends. You have Dawson Johnson, who's the Old Dominion, right? He's the Old Dominion transfer, I think. And then it says or Vance Bolliard, who is another transfer. And then at the other tight end position, because there's two of them that are listed on the starting depth chart, you have Ty Thompson, who is coming back from a little bit of a leg problem, but he's, according to Hall on Saturday, Ty will be back this week. We'll find out tomorrow. But under Ty, you have or Gabe Lavorne, who is also a guy who's coming back from injury, but we saw him participating this past Saturday. And then it says, or Cam Roberts, number 87. So you have all these ors in there. And I think because the tight end is such an important part of Will Hall's offense, this is a big question mark for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the injuries are the biggest key here, and it seems like their most athletic tight ends are all hurt right now. But yeah, the F spot, it's going to be fun with Dawson, who came from, like you said, Old Dominion, and then Boyard, who came over from Duke. I was thinking Boyard is going to be more of your inline blocking tight end. Maybe he was able to develop more of that receiving threat. They're the Y. That's what I'm saying.
Johnson,
that's what I'm saying. The Y. I was thinking there'd be more of the inline tight end, and then Dawson Johnson would be that Y tight end with Lavorne and Ty Thompson. But I mean, Dawson Johnson has blocking ability too. Yeah. That's what I was saying. It was weird.
Yeah,
that's what I was saying. I think it's weird, but they have as the F back. So I'm assuming. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is it the F back and another basically halfback style, kind of next to the quarterback?
Yeah, he's more of a wing player. More of a wing guy, so he'll be on. Yeah. And then the Y guy is going to be a tight guy, but he can also play on the wing. That's what they want. They want to be able to play both of them. I'm sorry, Colin, I interrupted you, buddy.
No. It's when it comes to their tight ends, like you said, it's going to be down to staying healthy. Ty Thompson has not been healthy, for a while now, and coming off of an injury, we'd like to see him continue to stay on the field. But, in the case of really sports nowadays, it's really hard to stay healthy before the season even starts. We just saw Ashton Genty go down with the Raiders, and that's just the NFL. We're not even touching college football. But, yeah, I like Johnson and Bolyard. I like them as transfers coming in. Surprised to not see Colby Simpson on this roster, but he is young. He's a freshman, so not too terribly surprised. Who I actually really want to focus on is the other defensive tackle who's starting next to the other Houston transfer, Ed Smith IV. That's USA. Sorry, USA transfer Ed Smith. Jordan Kreitz, the freshman. He was listed as the second defensive tackle. It's either him, Jordan Kreitz, right, or Armandus Cooley is the defensive tackle behind Ed Smith. And to see him this high already as a freshman, I mean, he was already a 4-star, I believe, coming out of high school this year. He's one of them, one of the two. To see him this high up, I expect to hear his name just especially during these first few weeks.
And they rotate. It's a definite. You can lay bets on it that Tulane will not play the same starting four across that defensive front of the whole game. They will go ahead and rotate them out. They'll keep them fresh. They will continuously keep new people coming in. So you'll see like a Josh Lewis or Derek Shepard and Ed Smith or that kind of thing across the front, and then all of a sudden they'll switch. And then Jari Gardner is going to be out there at the Bandit, and then they'll switch around and they'll go ahead and put somebody else in. So I mean, the number of people they have there with the oars on the defensive front, like you have after Rashad Sterling, you have Jordan Guidry, and then like you said, after Kreitz, you have Armandus Cooley. Then on the Bandit, you have Jari Gardner, and then after that, you have Warren Roberts or Gerard Henderson or Nick Alston. You have all these other guys that'll be rotating in. I guarantee you that's what's going to happen.
Speaking of Bandit, do we know what's going on with Jordan McAllister, the transfer from Northern?
He's not even listed on the roster, man.
He's not.
Yeah.
He's not listed.
Because they got him, and I was expecting him to be like, their Bandit, like their go-to guy, Bandit, come in and plug and play and start right away. And I read somewhere that he hasn't been there since spring. And they said someone's mentioned that Will Hall said they're hoping to get him sometime during the season or possibly. So I don't know what's really okay. Yeah, I was curious.
What about you, Colin? Have you?
I haven't heard anything. I forgot to look for him on Saturday.
Yeah.
I'm looking online right now to see if I've seen it, if there's any news on him, but there's
nothing at all.
Nothing for him.
And he's not on the roster. And once I saw he wasn't on the depth chart, I'm like, okay, there's something happened. Not saying bad or anything. I'm saying something's going where we don't know what's going on. I was just curious if you guys knew something. But I'm going to
throw something out there for consideration, if you don't mind, Patrick. I think when you look at the depth chart and you see the people that are on there, and you see who is on and who's not, like for instance, you said about Kreitz, and being on there so early at defensive tackle. I think the 5-and-5 rule is changing the way coaches have to play their players. They realize they don't have red shirts. You can't have a 34-year-old football player or whatever. How old? I'm just joking. But I mean, you can't have these guys who have been around for 7 years anymore. You can't. So they're having to find a way to get guys who are freshmen in there, if they're ready, as soon as possible, so that they don't think about going somewhere else, so that they can get their playing time in. 5-and-5, that's all they get, So I think it's going to change the way coaches think, in my opinion. Every time I brought that up with any of the coaches, they sort of they sort of
Dance around it.
Yeah, they dance around it a lot.
Oh, you're seeing it now. Justin Fields just announced he's coming back to Texas Tech, which is insane. Yeah, I just read that. And then the dude from he got cut by the Browns, or the Browns tight end, is now going to
the guy from
LSU.
He's going back to LSU.
Yeah, there's someone else too. I forget too. And I'm like reading this. I'm like, what is going on in
it's starting to get ridiculous.
Now? Yeah. But going back to Kreitz, when I saw that Tulane got him, he was at the time 6'6". Now he's 6'7". And I just watched his film, saw his I'm like, this is a Big 12 starting defensive lineman. Like, he just looks like a Big 12 defensive lineman. And then I started seeing some clips on Tulane, their Twitter, just some videos of him. And then I'm like, dude, this guy's going to have a chance to get some snaps. And then I saw the depth chart, and I'm like, and then I thought he was going to be defensive end, but they moved to D tackle. So it's awesome to see that he is going to be, in a fighting chance to get in there. And another defensive tackle, he's a nose tackle, who I really like, is Paul Landing Jermaine. He's a redshirt freshman. I saw he's the backup to, I believe, Smith.
Derek Shepard.
Thank you, Shepard. So that was good.
He's a returnee.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what Jermaine can do. I'm excited to see what Price can do. That interior defensive line, at first I thought was going to be a weak link at the beginning before spring started, because they only got Ed Smith in the transfer portal. They lost damn near like everyone on that defensive tackle room.
They lost everybody. They lost everyone.
And I'm like, this is the weakest position. And then with spring rolled around, I'm like, okay, I see some stuff going on there. And then now I'm like, this might actually be a strength of the room.
Yeah, definitely.
And we hadn't even gotten to what I think is the strength of the defense. Even though the defensive line is so strong, they're young.
Yeah,
very
young. But they're very strong. In my feeble opinion, the strength of this defense is going to be its linebacker core. They have outstanding linebackers. I said this to Will Hall on Saturday, and he sort of laughed about it and then named them all off. I said, this is like Tulane's version of the Saints Dome Patrol. And then, by the way, Hall named off all 4 of the linebackers from the Dome Patrol. He was good. But, I mean, that's how good I think Chris Rogers, Dixon Agu, Mekhi Williams, and then Dalton Hughes, those 4 right there, those 4. Now, they're only going to play 2 most of the time. But still, they'll play. If against Army, I guarantee you they'll be playing all 3 of those big guys, Rogers, Agu, and Williams. I think Rogers is the guy that's going to the next level. He really is NFL material. And then you look at the defensive backfield, and Colin, you were talking about this early. Dude, you saw how strong the defensive backfield was in spring. You were predicting this.
No, this secondary, it's still and to second what Doug had said, I absolutely think this linebacking room is one of the strongest parts. In my opinion, it's the second strongest, but it's like the secondary is a 10 and this linebacking unit's a 9. They're not that far behind. But they went out, and despite really getting a lot of retention in their secondary room, they got Isaiah Shine back, they got Jack Chinchu back, they got Kevin Adams back. But then they went out, Chase Green is another name that's been popping up a ton, especially at the Saturday practice. He was the one who picked off Zeon during the scrimmage. But
on a pass that should have been caught by the offensive guy, he literally took it away from him.
Took it away from him.
Took it away from him.
50-50 ball.
Nice.
It was just it was a better football play.
Beautiful.
And you add Isaiah Shine is one of the most important retentions. He is cornerback one. He's going to be the best defensive back on this team. He was already probably the best one last year, pure corner wise. And to get him back this year, and then to add Macho Stevenson, to add Anthony Rogers and Justin Aguirre onto these guys, like this secondary is ridiculously strong, and you can't even discount the safeties with Jack Chinchu, Kevin Adams, Chase Green, all those guys. Like this is one of the best defenses in the American.
And I will tell you that that we were concerned about that secondary after last season. We saw that secondary get manhandled essentially by Ole Miss in that playoff game, and we asked for more strength. We asked for more length. Macho Stevenson. We asked for closer coverage, and we've seen all three of those things happen in since the spring started. This is a different feel, and I think that a lot of that credit has to go to the new defensive coordinator, Taylor Polk. Polk, I think Colin, we figured out he was at the time the youngest defensive coordinator in all of the group of six or something like that. Yeah. And I don't care that he's the youngest. You should see this guy if you never have. I mean, if you're wondering who he is, just watch the sideline during a game. He's probably jumping up and down more than the players are. He is just a crazy guy on the sideline. I mean that in the most positive sense I can. He is fun to watch, and the kids at the players absolutely love him.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go, Colin.
Oh no, go ahead, Pat. Go ahead.
I was just saying, he does look like he brings a lot of energy, and then the players feed off of that energy from him. You can just tell. I mean, I was at the spring game, and I was watching him run around, jumping up and down. I'm like, man, I really want to go put some pads on and get laid out by some guys right now. But
No, I've never thought that. I've never thought. No. I cut it off right there. Sorry. That's all you, Patrick. You too, Colin. You go, not me. I'm too old.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to see what he does with this defense this year. And surprisingly, I kind of thought they were going to have Shine over in that field quarterback spot and have Macho in the boundary. But I think with Anthony Rogers was one of my not favorites, but the cornerback room. He's like, when I saw him come over from Nichols, I was like, wow, I really like his athleticism. I think he could do something. Maybe, I don't know about this coming up season, but definitely he'll be like the guy in the future. But it seems like this past couple of weeks or this past week, he's really come on strong. And now they have him listed at that starting field position, cornerback. And then they have Macho bumped underneath Shine. But even that, I still think the secondary between Shine, Rogers, LJ Green, and Macho are all good enough to play. I think it's going to be rotation-based. Or depending on who's playing better or whatever, there's going to be those four guys all can play. That's my point there.
And that doesn't even include Justin Agu, who is Dixon's big brother. You know, he's that kid is listed as an OR with LJ Green, and he is outstanding, number 22. So Colin, like I said earlier, sorry I keep harping on this, but I really wanted to point this out. Colin saw that first week of spring. He saw, or second week, can't remember, one of the two, that he pointed out how strong this defensive secondary was, and you nailed it, bud. Good job.
Oh yeah,
I appreciate it. One of the
that'll be $5.
Oh, okay.
It's better than our quarterback prediction, right?
Oh yeah, much better. We know what we're talking about sometimes.
Yeah. So let's backtrack a little bit here. So overall, let's go back to the quarterback position real quick. I just want to talk about real quick, then we get back to the depth chart. I got why they chose Zeon to be the starting quarterback. I totally get it.
Yeah.
I mean, he could totally be an absolute home run threat with his feet. The arm does worry me a little bit. Granted, I haven't been at the practices. I know you guys have, so I haven't really got to see the arm. But I mean, you got to trust this staff. You got to trust Will Hall. I mean, he's the head coach for a reason. It's just, my question is, what happens when they're down in the fourth quarter and you have to throw the ball? Are you going to be able to trust Zeon with his decision making, with his passing ability? And you're down in the fourth quarter, and you need a 3rd and 15 or a 4th and 12 late in the game, 2 minutes left. Do you think Zeon is that guy who can lead this team from a comeback victory?
I mean, that's a really good question. I actually really like that question.
Yeah.
Because I can't answer that question with 100% confidence, to be honest with you. Because you're right. In today's age, running the ball does get you far, but it only gets you so far. And when you get in these grimy games, these ugly, low-scoring games, which I think Tulane's going to be in a lot of this year, if this is the way they're going, with a strong defense, it's going to be low-scoring, and you have a running offense. You're going to try and control the game, but you're going to go up against a defense that's not going to let you. They're going to get you off the field in 1 or 2 first downs, maybe some 3 and outs here and there, and then it's just punt, and then 2.5 minutes left. Like you said, you tried running the ball twice, 1st and 2nd down. Now it's 3rd and 11, 3rd and 12. What are you going to do? And in that situation, Zeon, I feel like sometimes throughout practice has shown that he does hesitate sometimes. Sometimes he likes his first read, but then he's like, should I throw it? And then he has that, like Doug has said, he has a hum on the ball that he can put it. So he kind of waits until the last second, and then he'll throw it. I remember this one specific throw. It was a great throw. He fit it in between 3 defenders perfectly. It came about 1.5 seconds too late, though. But if it was not him, if it was any other guy holding that any other guy holding that football, nobody was making that throw.
Yeah, it had been an interception is what had happened. If anybody else, I will say this, that we have not even talked about something that I think is the deepest and strongest part of this entire offense. And it was not because we were talking about so many other things, and that's the running back slot. Yeah, Jamari McClure is hurt. And so we don't know how long he's going to be out. And I don't mean this negative toward Jamari at all. Doesn't matter. Maurice Turner, and we've talked about this before, Maurice Turner, number 0, he was the starting running back for Tulane last year in game number 1. He had 85 yards in the first half of play. 85 yards. And got hurt in the second to last play of the first half and was never himself after that. Yeah, we have seen Maurice Turner with the ball in his hands. He is scary good. And I know people talk about Jalen Lucas, and he's really amazing. And Johnny Daniels, and really he's a great running back. We don't hear much about DJ Dugar. We really don't. And we and maybe we'll talk about him in a minute. But I will tell you right now that you have a guy with a motor like Maurice Turner. You have an outstanding running quarterback like Zeon, and you have a really good running game that, you're right, when you get behind or it's down and dirty, it's going to be tough. But I have seen these guys with the ball in their hands. Zeon can break a 60-yarder.
He can.
Easy.
He's done it
Mo
before.
Turner can break a 60-yarder. Easy. And I'm not just saying
Johnny
that.
Daniels can. Jalen Lucas can.
Yes, Johnny Daniels. He was. We thought he was going to be the between the tackles guy. He is. But dang, he can fly. Yeah. But I'm just telling you that they have guys that if the offensive line does its job, then all of a sudden you get a crease, and it's like, you can't compare it to like Army. But I really believe that this running back room is the deepest I've ever seen at Tulane, in many years. And with those guys there, you have Jalen Lucas. We didn't even talk much about. This guy gets the ball in his hands out in the open field, you're going to see guys leave their cleats behind on the defense because they won't know what to do.
Yeah, and Jalen Lucas. He was listed as the starting. He's not even listed in the running back position on the depth chart. He's listed as a super back. This is the Will Hall term that he loves so much. Sort of, your Darren Sproles, your Alvin Kamaras, your Christian McCaffreys, the guys that are your more all-purpose guys, not the strictly running. They're going to be lined up in the slot. They're going to be
Johnny Daniels. Yeah.
They're gonna motion out like these. which is such a shame, which is why I wish we sort of got like a pure passer, but I think we're going to get that with Trace Johnson either in a year or two. But like being able to take advantage of guys like this that create so many mismatches in coverage and really throws off the defense and really makes you think, and it adds so many layers, so much depth to your offense, but still having their presence is definitely helpful. I just hope that, they don't get reduced to only screens and things like that because of not being able to trust Zeon's throwing ability. But at the end of the day, we'll see.
I will say this, that I think that low scoring may not happen. And the reason I say that is because of the breakaway ability of the guys we just mentioned.
Yeah.
Bo Turner, Jalen Lucas, Zeon, even those guys, are going to be able to make breakaway runs that are going to make people just be shocked. Now, we made our picks earlier this year, and I picked Tulane to go 11-1. And I may adjust that. I don't know. We'll find out next week. But we'll talk about that next week. And Colin, you picked them to go 10-2. Yeah, to do that. Patrick, I didn't see your picks. What were your picks?
9-3, I believe.
9-3. 9-3.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, we're all way above what everybody else is saying.
Yeah.
Way above. I mean, over and under is what, 7.5?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah,
7.5.
7.5 wins.
Yeah,
I think it's 7.5 wins.
Oh, man, that's right.
But I mean, it's just. I think that is a ridiculous number when you have 68 returning players from a college football playoff team.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I think that was just ridiculous.
People were paying too much attention to the headlines. They saw Summerall leave, and they thought that was the reason for Tulane's success last year.
Yeah,
despite that, Retzloff.
And I think they're looking at Will Hall's record too. I think that's a big reason they're looking at Will Hall's record. I think,
but I mean,
understandable.
When was that? When was that head coaching stint though? When was that exactly?
Southern Miss. That was right before he came back to Tulane. It was right after the Cotton Bowl.
Yeah, 2020 to 2023.
And what they don't do is they don't go back to when he was a Division II coach, when he was not just successful, he was highly successful. And is the Southern Miss experience with Will Hall an aberration, or is it an accurate telltale of what will happen at Tulane? I believe that it's an aberration. I think Southern Miss was not something that's going to happen again with Will Hall at Tulane. Too many resources, too much going on, too many great athletes. That's me. That's me. Now, pie in the sky.
Yeah, one thing that I really liked hearing from Will Hall. So I believe Southern Miss was a learning experience. You learn from failure. Everyone learns from failure. I mean, I work offshore commercial diving. I learn from my mistakes. Everyone learns from their mistakes. That's how you get better. That's how you progress in life. That's how you learn. That's how you advance yourself. And one thing that he said, he took some time off and he went to these other successful programs and these other successful coaches, just stayed there for a week, 2 weeks, and just watched, listened, and learned, and asked hopefully all the right questions. And then my point is I really enjoyed that he did that, because he got to see what all these other successful programs are doing, and hopefully he can bring a little bit of that knowledge or all that knowledge and instill that here. And hopefully he became a an improved and better coach from his failure and also learning experience on the way to Tulane.
And one of the things that he pointed out early on after he was hired was that after his time at Southern Miss, he sat down and just filled out page after page in a notebook of the things that he did wrong. I'm going, whoa. That says a lot. You're admitting you did wrong, and these are the things I did wrong, and this is what I would change to make it better. And then, Patrick, as you said, he went to all these other programs and checked them out, took notes, made sure everything was right, and then incorporated into what he's seeing now. Now, could we be wrong about Will Hall? We were wrong about Caden Samanza, but could we be wrong about Will Hall too? I personally don't think I am. I don't think we are. I think that what's happened is Tulane, and Will has said this. Tulane has created a like an aura about itself, a tradition about itself. I mean, think about it. I mean, how many times in a row they've been to the American Conference Championship? You know, and I mean, yeah, 4. And I mean, they've won it twice. And so this is a team that is not just sort of carrying on and things. This is a tradition now.
Yeah.
At least in my book, it is. 4
They're
years in a row.
dynasty.
Yeah. I mean, you're getting there. You're getting there. You know, I mean, this is. I'm really feeling better about this now. I don't want to be proven wrong about this. That's for sure. But I do like the way things are moving in the Tulane program.
Definitely. And to shift it back sort of towards the players, I think the key this year, if they really want to win, like you said, you know, busting out those big explosive plays, because everybody on this offense is explosive. I could see Fat Hill turning a screen into a 60-yard touchdown, or Jalen Lucas or Mo Turner, any of these guys, Zeon, hitting a small seam in the A gap and running another 50 yards downfield. Mm-hmm. But I think the key for that is this offensive line to continue to grow and to continue to get better. Right now, they're doing that, and they're in the right direction. And I want to see them continue to learn, to continue to grow, to continue to get better. But most of all, I really want them to stay healthy. I do not. I want no more than one guy, maybe 2 guys down at a time. They're relatively deep. They have just about a guy for every position to back them up. But I don't want to see 2 guys go down at all.
I think the guard spot, if you start losing some guards, you're going to be thin really, really quick.
Yeah, definitely.
But,
but this progression, this continued evolution that they're going through, I'm a really big fan of it. And when we spoke to Bach, it was like 3 weeks ago, he was available for after a practice. And, he said that, the O-line guys, they hang out every weekend. They're at his house or they're at somebody's house. They're hanging out, whatever those activities entail. I have no idea, but I'm sure they're having a great time. But that sort of that bond and that relationship is so important in an O-line room, and to see them build that along with, and you can see the effects of that paying off, not just as a person, but definitely on the field and in their play.
And I think Will Hall was specific in what he said. He said his first hire was Cody Kennedy.
Yeah,
that was his first hire, the offensive line coach. That's how important it is that he wanted to make sure he had his offensive line coach, the coach that he wanted more than anybody else.
Yeah.
So when Cody Kennedy was brought in, everything else just sort of fell in place. I mean, Will was specific about that, saying how much he wanted Cody Kennedy. Not that he didn't want anybody else. That's not Taylor Polk and all the other stuff. But his priority as an offensive coach is the offensive line.
Yeah,
I mean that makes sense. So I feel good about the things that happened and how they happened under Will Hall. But again, I'm a glass half full kind of guy,
Yeah.
So
I'm on the same boat as Doug. I think this is, although I do think the hire in my personal opinion, taking out the reporter side, I think it was safe, but I do think that it will pay off in the end. I don't think this was a bad hire by any means. I like his system. I like his. I like honestly just like his. I guess the aura around him. I don't know the way he carries himself, the way he talks. I don't know. It reminds me. I used to live in Mobile for a long time. It reminds me of those very homey, very welcoming, Southern sort of folks. And
he's a Southern boy.
His love.
Sure.
Yeah, exactly.
The players love him. I mean, they would run through a brick wall for this guy, and I don't blame them because he loves them back. I mean, there's you cannot go through an interview without hearing the word love being said. And I even mentioned that to him in the spring, and he said it's just who we are. And he looked at me like incredulously, like, so what's the big deal? That's who we are. I'm going, okay, never mind, sorry.
Yeah. But and it's really special to see that that he thinks that's weird. Like why? That's normal. That's how it should be. You love to hear things like that.
Yeah. Yeah, Will Hall. When this first happened, I was very skeptical at first. I instantly got it because I'm like, okay, he's already in the room. He's there. The players love him. I get it. I feel like maybe they obviously tried to go over Baker, the guy from LSU, but Kiffin came in there, paid him a boatload of money. And then I think they really put all their eggs in that basket. And then once he kind of left, they lost all. I believe Huff was probably in the running. And then I also liked Jerry Mack over at Kennesaw State. But I felt like once Baker kind of fell through, and then they realized what they had in the room, and then all these players pounding the table for him, like, no, we got our guy, we got our guy. And then the more I sat back and like really paid attention to it, looked farther into it, I'm like, okay, I get this. I mean, yeah, let's get past the Southern Miss record. We know what happened. It wasn't the greatest stint, but we're here now. Let's see what he can do. And the first biggest move of his Tulane, head coaching career is naming Zeon as his starting quarterback. Now, whatever happens with that, we'll see. I mean, this is definitely a career decision here because if this doesn't work out, this might be his last time being a head coach at this level, at least, I think. But we will see. I hope it's not. I hope he's here forever at Tulane, and I hope he's very, very successful. I want nothing more than that. But I'm saying this is a very big career-defining moment for him right here at Tulane with this choice.
Yeah, I think he's going to stick around. He's the kind of guy that if he's successful, he and his family love New Orleans. They've been here before. They love being where they are. And Will is the kind of person who's gonna stick through. That's the kind of person he is. I just have this feeling that if he's successful, he's going to stay around. He's love Summerall, and I'm really happy for him in Florida. But he wasn't going to stick around. Everybody knew that, And so I think Will Hall is the kind of guy that if he's successful, he's still going to stick around. And if Tulane does its job, they'll help him to stick around.
Yeah, and they should. They should definitely keep somebody like him around, man. You can tell that the players love him.
Yeah,
they do.
Do you think realignment will be a big step in him staying if he becomes very successful at Tulane? Conference realignment. Let's say this major shift in the ACC where you see like Clemson or in Miami, Florida State, and all those guys jump ship, either go to SEC, Big Ten, or the Big 12. And then you see like a Memphis, you see a Tulane, you see a USF, and maybe a UConn go to the ACC and kind of almost develop this in-betweener power conference. Do you think if Tulane becomes successful with Will Hall, do you think that'll be another stepping stone in helping keeping him at Tulane?
I think that's a great question. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Colin.
No, you go ahead. You beat me to it.
I think it's going to be important for Tulane to expand past football. I think you can't just focus on football and expect to go to a power conference. You have got to focus on other sports as well. And last year, and I'm just going to be honest, and the coaches will tell you the same thing, men's and women's basketball and baseball, the other big ones did not succeed last year. They had losing records. And I'm a supporter of all those. I mean, I wish Ron and everybody else would do really, really, and Jay and Angela would just have truly hugely successful sports programs. But until that is happening, until those other three, those really important sports get some sort of backing, I don't think I think it's a pie in the sky kind of thing to expect Tulane to move into an ACC or something. Jay Ullman is still working with less than half of his kids get a full salary. Scholarship. Less than half. Everybody else can have 34 scholarships. Less than half the Tulane baseball team gets a full scholarship. Less than half. Yeah. You can't survive like that. And somehow or another, Tulane's got to find a way to get the basketball programs and the baseball programs on equal footing and successful. And then when that happens, then Tulane can look at moving into a power conference. That's just my perspective.
No, I agree. I sort of agree to a certain extent. like you said, the sort of the states of the both men and women's basketball and the baseball programs, especially after last year, where I went into the basketball season a bit more hopeful, especially with Brumball coming off the season that he had. I was hoping for a much better outing, and it's sort of all three branches sort of just went in the same direction, which was crashing and burning. And it's like Doug says, these, if you really want to compete in a power conference. Now I will say, like I said earlier, I agree to a certain extent, because I do think I agree with what Patrick says, is that if Tulane does continue to do what they do, which is winning their conference, making college football playoff appearances, winning bowl games, big or small, whether it be Cotton Bowl, whether it be going to the playoffs, whatever. If they can continue to do that on a consistent basis, I would say over the next 3 or 4 years, only because they've already been doing it pretty much throughout this entire decade. If they can continue to do it throughout the rest of this decade, I think Tulane will have made as good of a case as they can to be moved to a power conference, whether that be the ACC, which is looking like the most likely conference that they would go to if they did go anywhere.
Yeah, I think is 2030 like that next realignment time. That's what I've been hearing a lot. It's like 2030 is like going to be
2028, 2030, around that.
Yeah, okay. Between those two. I mean, we've got 2 to 4 years for that to happen. But again, it's just, I mean, if Tulane football is successful, usually it follows. There's an old saying that Lenny Van Gilder, former sports information director for Tulane, would say. He said, football steers the Tulane athletic boat. He's right. Football is what steers it and gets it to where it needs to be. But in today's day and age, you still need to go ahead and have some sort of support along the way.
There needs to be some sort of reinvestment into the other sports. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, well, hopefully, I mean, I'm not a big college baseball fan, but like I was seeing, just the transfer portal with Tulane and the guys they were getting in. And I was like, okay, I think I'm actually going to go to some baseball games this year. And then
I can speak to that. I saw Jay this week, actually.
Yeah.
I got to speak to Jay Ullman this week, and I looked on his board, and he's got this board. He said, we brought in 16 last year, 16 transfers. He said that this year we're bringing in about the same amount, but every one, without alluding to last year, every one of these kids who are coming in this year are coming from a winning program, number one, and number two, a program that ended up in the playoffs somehow or another, whether at JC or transfer portal or high school. Every one of these kids are coming from a winning program, like a really, really good winning program. That makes a difference. Yeah. That makes a big, big difference. So I got to see the list of names, and I'm impressed.
Yeah, you recruit winners. You draft winners. I mean, you see it in the NFL, you see it in Major League Baseball, you see it in college sports now. I mean, and one of the favorite things about, I'm going to go to my Bengals reference here, Zach Taylor. He's like, I always want to draft winners and captains, because then you're always going to have a great locker room. If you have a great locker room, you can always just go from there and build people up.
Yeah.
But yeah, Colin, do you have anything you want to say? Yeah.
Speaking of great locker room, man, I want to speak to that defense again. I want to bring it back to that Tulane defense, man, because if there's anything that you can see with these guys at every single practice, is that their energy is about 1,200 times higher than anybody else's. They cheer for every play. It doesn't matter if it was a big hit after a receiver gained 20 yards. The entire defensive sideline is erupting for just about any positive sort of thing they can point out, whether it was a big hit, a tackle for loss, a sack, anything. These guys play with so much energy, man. They're so fun. And I think it also helps, 68 returning guys.
Yeah.
And, when you have a secondary returning guys with familiarity with Isaiah Shine and your two safeties, and then you just add on to that. You're keeping familiarity while also reinventing and evolving. really. And I love the energy that they play with again. And like to really cap things off for my thoughts is that, if anybody's got Zeon's back, man, it's this Wave defense.
Yeah, for sure. Do you have anything else you want to chime in there, Doug? Or
I've talked for 2/3 of this, man. So I'm going to shut up for a minute.
No, you're good. You're good. I love it. Just wanted to go back to a couple things with the depth chart that I can remember off the top of my head and some things I wrote down. I saw that Tylen George, a true freshman, is going to be your backup right guard, he was an early enrollee in the spring, and he was tied he was right there with Jordan Chriss as being one of the best recruits in Tulane history. They're both like neck and neck right there. So to see him come in there early during the spring and then carve out a backup role, I mean, that just tells you he's ready to take that next step for you next year. So you already have a strong interior future piece in the making at right guard or left guard. I mean, it's hard to tell with these high school kids coming out of high school where, especially with secondary and offensive line, you kind of got to figure it out. But, you can kind of tell offensive tackles, interior line, usually by arm length and height, and usually by that. But that's one thing I noticed. And then TJ Smith and Kajon Banks, it looks like they're going to be on a rotation base at the Spear, going back and forth there. TJ Smith, big fan of him. Banks came in. I thought Banks was going to be more of like a depth piece at the safety position, or maybe like a third safety, and then more of like a backup Spear guy. But he came in and played really well. Played practice very well, and he's kind of made his name for himself during the spring and this fall. And it sounds like him and TJ are just going to be starting and just splitting time. Yeah. And then I also noticed they moved Jack Chinshu back to free safety, which I thought they were going to have him at strong safety, being more of like, he does have coverage ability, he has great coverage ability, but he's a hard-hitting guy. So I figured they would move him to strong safety and Kevin Adams to free safety with his coverage ability. And then it would be kind of like a tandem duo, the Bastion brothers, between Jack Chinshu and Charles Rogers. But yeah, so I noticed that he's back at free safety. I don't know if it's maybe because he was hurt beginning of the year and they just wanted to get Adams some time at free safety, but it looks like those guys are back to the original positions.
I think moving him to free safety was a saving his body move.
Okay.
He had shoulder surgery, both shoulders, and so he didn't want to. I think they're saving his body. He's a great athlete. Yeah. And that doesn't mean he won't move back to strong safety, but you got Adams there, you got Chase Green there. I mean, this is I think he would be more of an asset at free safety, and he can quarterback this thing. Yeah. From there, he's so smart. Is Chinshu that when you have that guy, it's like having another coach on the field. He's that kind of player. So I mean, to be there in the free safety and being the coach back there, making the calls back there defensively, I like that move.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That sounds a lot better when you put it like that. And especially him saving his body. And then mentioning Chase Green, I think Chase Green might be one of the most improved players on this football team.
Definitely.
I believe.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, Hall actually spoke to that this past Saturday. He not just the defensive breakup interception that he had, but he spoke about how far Green has come in such a short period of time. Colin put it in his story on Saturday afternoon. It just is just an outstanding defensive secondary, top to bottom. This is an improvement that we were hoping for, and we got it in spades, dude. We got this thing as much as we needed. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Well, also, did you guys have anything else you wanted to add or say anything before we wrap this up? I kind of feel like we covered a broad spectrum almost a lot of things: basketball, baseball, realignment, quarterback, depth chart.
Yeah.
As you guys have
We didn't
anything
talk
else
about
you
the
want to
sailing
add?
team. Should we talk about the sailing? No, I'm just kidding. Don't.
If you want to,
No
I
sailing.
have no idea what
No.
I'm talking about, but I will definitely sit back and listen.
Yeah,
No,
I'm
that's
all
okay.
good over here.
All right, we're good.
All right. Well, thank you guys for jumping on. I really appreciate it. It's always fun doing this with you guys, and especially with you guys. Being at practice. One thing I would like to say is thank you guys for taking the time out of your day to one con here, but also go out there and be at practice, especially for the Saints and Tulane, and then give all this great information and talk to us and write to us through your guys' social media content and everything else. But I just want to say thank you for all that.
I
Appreciate it.
appreciate
No
it.
problem.
Thanks for having us.
As
Thank you.
it's something we like doing. Thank you, man.
We love
Yeah,
it.
no problem. And I hope everyone enjoyed this, and we'll try to get back and hopefully we'll get a little something going for the Duke game. But once again, thank
Yeah.
you guys, thank you everyone, and roll wave.
Roll wave.
Thank you for tagging along today, guys. If you liked anything you heard today, just go ahead and please like, subscribe, share. You can follow me at Roll Dat Wave on X and also YouTube, and then also at Be in the Know, basically everywhere and anywhere. All right, thank you. Roll Wave.